Welcome to Divided Choices, ART Ethics in Modern China. I'm Anna, and today we are exploring one of the most profound social transformations in contemporary China. How assisted reproductive technologies are reshaping what it means to be a mother. In a society where traditional views on family and motherhood remain deeply rooted, technologies such as IVF, surrogacy, and ROPA are opening new possibilities, along with new questions. Behind the medical data are very personal stories of hope, perseverance, and difficult decisions. Today, we are honored to be joined by three guests who bring both life experience and expert insights to this conversation. I would love to invite each of you to introduce yourselves.
Hello everyone, I'm Alina and I'm a lesbian mom, and my partner and I started our family through the ROPA method, and it's been a really meaningful journey for us, and I'm happy to share a bit of it today.
Hello everyone, I'm Belle. I went through several years of IVF, lots of ups and downs along the way. I'm glad to be here and talk about what that experience was really like.
Hi, I'm Dr. Chen. I have done research on how reproductive technologies are shaping society in China for years. I'm honored to be invited to join our discussion today as well.
Thank you all so much for being here today. We really appreciate you for taking time to share your stories and insights with us. Our research reveals a central paradox. While ART offers unprecedented reproductive freedom, it also creates what we are calling a double burden, where women bear not just medical costs, but also social stigma when their motherhood is questioned. Let's begin with the personal stories behind this transformation. Okay, so let's start with our first guest, Elena, a lesbian mother who built her family through ROPA. Elena, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Can you tell us a bit about your journey with your partner and how the ROPA method worked for you?
Yeah, sure. So for my partner and me, the ROPA method was really special, and it was our way of both sharing biological motherhood with our child. So basically, my partner provided the egg, and I carried the pregnancy. And it just felt amazing, like our bodies were working together in different roles to bring the little baby into the world.
That sounds so cool. But I guess it wasn't all smooth, right? So I'm sure that there were some challenges along the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The ART journey was actually a lot. I mean, like emotionally, physically, and financially. Like people don't talk enough about how expensive it is. For us, like every appointment, every round of medication, and every extra test feel like just watching our savings just melt away. And especially when you're already dealing with those hormone swings and endless clinic visits. I mean, it's a lot of stress.
So how did you and your partner manage all of that stress together after all?
Well, honestly, doing it together made us feel closer than ever. Even though I was the one carrying the baby, my partner was right there for every ultrasound, every scare, and every tiny kick. And we went through every emotion you can imagine. But it actually made us stronger as a team.
So it feels like it's true partnership and a new chapter in your lives.
Yeah, exactly. For lots of lesbians like us, fertility is not just a medical thing. It actually means a lot. Like we step into motherhood in our own way but equally. And even though the outside world doesn't always get it, but it felt right for us.
It's really inspiring to hear about how you and your partner went through this together. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Elena. Now, our listeners might be curious for another group that also relies heavily on ART, infertile women. What different stories and challenges might they face on their own journeys to motherhood? Belle, could you share some of your stories with us?
Sure, looking back on those years of undergoing IVF now, the physical hardship have all become blurred. What was most crushing were those invisible pressures. I even quit my job and focused on preparing for pregnancy. But then I hear someone say, "Look, it's just that I worked too hard before, and that's why I can't get pregnant now. That's why I have to suffer like this." Every time I hear such words, I feel very bad. It seems like it's my fault that I can't get pregnant naturally. Well, even my family members, although they have always supported me, sometimes they still ask me, are we being too persistent like this?
That's really tough, Belle. Those comments must have been hard to hear. So it must be painful when others don't understand your journey. But how did you handle that doubt, especially from your family?
Well, to be honest, what hurt me the most was a family gathering. I still remember an elder held my hand and said, "It's fine to adopt one. Why put yourself in such a mess?" And that moment, I suddenly realized that in the eyes of some people, the child I had hoped for so much, and in the eyes of others, the role I played as a mother just seemed a bit unjustified.
I can imagine how hard those comments must have been, Belle. But hearing that it was all worth it when you finally saw your baby, what was the moment like for you?
Well, fortunately, the story didn't end in doubt or regrets. I did eventually welcome my own child into the world, and the first time I saw my baby lying in the cradle, smiling up at me with those tiny bright eyes, you know she's so cute. Everything I had been to suddenly feel worth it.
Okay, so these powerful stories actually highlight both the possibilities and the cost. However, I would like to ask for some perspective from our expert, Dr. Chen. What do these experiences tell us about how ART is transforming motherhood in China?
After listening to the sharing of both of you, I was deeply touched. We are witnessing a profound change. ART is not only transforming the way we have children, but also reshaping our understanding of the word mother. In the story of Elena, we see that technology enables lesbian couples to build complete families, but they are not understood by society. In the experience of Belle, technology helped her fulfill her wish of becoming a mother, but she had to endure the gaze of what you did is not quite right. These stories tell us that while technology opens the door for more people to become mothers, our society is still trapped in old ideas. New family forms have emerged, but understanding and acceptance have lagged far behind. This is not only a medical advancement, but also a social test about tolerance and recognition.
Thank you, Dr. Chen, for that insightful summary. The concept of expanded motherhood really captures the core of what we're discussing. And really, a huge thank you to both Elena and Belle for sharing such personal and powerful stories with us. We have heard these deeply personal choices and the double burden they can create. But what happens when these private journeys step out into the public sphere and collide with deep-seated traditional values? How does society judge these new mothers, and what is the real-life impact of that judgment? This brings us to the heart of our next segment, the clash between technology, traditional values, and social perceptions. Thank you, Elena and Belle, once again for sharing your stories with us. And thank you, Dr. Chen, for summarizing the background of ART in China. Now, let's move on to a larger picture. First of all, here's a question for you, Dr. Chen.
Okay.
When we talk about ART in Chinese society, what are the core traditional values that this technology seems to challenge?
That's the heart of the matter. I will point out three related pillars. First is the bloodline. The concept of 传宗接代 in Confucian perspective and how important it is to continue the male family line. It makes genetics relatedness become extremely critical. Second is the institution of marriage. Procreation has historically been seen as the primary purpose of a heterosexual, legally sanctioned marriage. And third is the family structure itself. The ideal of a complete normal family with a father, a mother, and their biological child. However, ART can separate procreation from sex and even from a two-parent, different-sex household, which directly question these deep-rooted social norms.
I see. Mothers may definitely suffer a lot of judgments when deciding to give birth to a baby through ART. Elena, As your family was built via ROPA, have those pillars been reflected in your experience?
Where do I begin? Well, for my family, people usually judge us based on the fact that we bypass two important social norms in Chinese society: marriage and traditional structure. And especially in China, where same sex marriage is still not recognized officially. Only a few people know what ROPA is and question it a lot when they see us. We got questions like, so who's the real mother of the baby? How did you decide who to get pregnant?
Why do you think they would think in this way?
I guess probably because of the conventional mindset of whose bloodline the baby continues. While technology allows us both to have a biological connection to our child, society does not recognize our dual motherhood. But to be honest, I always feel offended and uncomfortable, when hearing these questions, because I know the hidden message behind them is like one of us being seen as a vessel or a tool for reproduction. It actually hurts a lot because in our hearts, we are both definitely 100% of our daughter's real mothers.
Yeah, it seems like lots of people don't actually have an idea about what ROPA is and question a lot regarding this. It must be hard as well when experiencing the treatment.
Yeah, to be honest, the cost of the treatment is not the primary thing that bothers me, even though it's truly high. What makes me feel most difficult and uncomfortable is that while my partner and I have been trying so hard to become a mother, going through all the checkups, injections, and medications, however, just because we are two women, the people around us think like our family is abnormal instead.
I see. Then what about Belle? As your way to motherhood seems to be more socially acceptable, have you encountered any judgment during the process of having IVF treatment?
Definitely. I know it seems to be a more socially acceptable way of having a baby on the surface. But there is still a stigma behind it. Even people don't talk about it, but the judgment is always here.
Really? I thought that people are more open-minded when it comes to IVF treatment.
I hope so as well. When I was pregnant, I always got the similar questions like, oh, why didn't you do natural conceptions? Even though some of them didn't really give out the question directly, I can still tell by their eyes that they are really curious about it, as if it is something that deserves to be questioned and commented on.
It seems like you have experienced similar things like Elena.
Yeah, somehow there's always some unspoken pressure around doing IVF, especially when your own family doesn't really understand it. Once, when I was talking with my dad, he told me that he was worried my mother in law may not like my baby. I asked him why, and he just said, the child is not biological. Can you believe that? I mean, it's just a medical treatment. Hearing that made me feel so desperate and helpless. This is actually a shame that I shouldn't have taken with me.
If I may add on some personal opinions, Belle's experiences are definitely telling. It emphasizes even though IVF is used to fulfill the traditional concept of a complete family, the technology itself is still seen as something that cuts off the bloodline and is unnatural, creating a problematic hierarchy that natural conception is more superior than other one. It also creates a paradox where society pressures mothers to have a child, but shames mothers for not giving birth to a baby naturally.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. That's a powerful point for ending our second part. And thank you, Elena and Belle, for sharing your additional story about ART. After having some ideas about the clash between ART technology, traditional values, and pros and cons about it, it's time for us to do critical thinking. In a rapidly changing society, should ART be embraced or restricted? Is it a woe or a blessing to our society and motherhood? Stay tuned to our next section and let's see how our guest will address these questions in detail together. thanks everyone for staying with us as we talk about how ART is changing what motherhood means in Chinese society. So, do you guys have any concerns about ART?
Yeah, I actually do have one. One of my biggest concerns would be the household registration thing. In China, like lesbian couples can only register their child under one partner's city. The other one isn't legally recognized as the child's mother, even if she was the one who actually gave birth.
That might raise a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, if lesbian couples break up with their partners, the problem they might face is that they don't even have any evidence to prove whether the baby is theirs. And what's even worse is that they might be forbidden to meet the child if they break up badly with their partners. Then what's the difference between mothers and reproductive machines?
Yeah, I believe that's an issue which we cannot overlook. Dr. Chen, how do you view this problem?
ART is definitely helpful, but like IVF and RPA, they actually lead to a serious ethical concern, which is the surrogacy issue. Someone might take advantage of the legal loopholes, and women will become a merchandise or a reproductive machine, like what you guys just mentioned. Low-educated women may even lose their body rights. Apart from that, it also has the potential to intensify the problem of 重男轻女 in Chinese society. Because with IVF, people can choose the gender of their children, so in fact, ART could possibly make Chinese society step backward.
That makes a lot of sense. Belle, even though you benefit from ART, do you have any concerns regarding this?
Well, actually, I do have a case that I would like to share. One of my friends is trying to have a baby using ROPA. She also has the concerns that you guys just mentioned, like the household system issue.
Yeah, household is definitely a thing for lesbian couples. That's indeed a huge concern. And Dr. Chen, do you have any suggestions which could help alleviate the problems when ART is evolving in China?
Sure, ART isn't a perfect solution. It causes ethical concerns like surrogacy and 重男轻女. It also comes with real costs and risks that need thoughtful consideration. What matters most is supporting women with understanding and education and strong protections. Like the government could initiate campaigns and school-based education talking about ART to raise the awareness of risk of it.
Well, thank you for your valuable opinions, Dr. Chen. That brings us to the end of our conversation today. It's been really eye-opening to hear such honest stories and expert insights about how ART is reshaping motherhood in Chinese society. Once again, thank you for all of you sharing with us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want more of it, go on YouTube and check it out. See you next time. Bye!